like, subscribe, and hit that notification button because you never know when my videos might just disappear. Hi guys, so I don't normally do a video like this. I had to though tonight. I am going back to my regular way after this, so those of you who really like this format, I'm not doing it. I'm going back. But tomorrow, in a few hours, is my eye surgery, and I just did a 2-hour live, and it's midnight, and I'm tired. But I did want to tell you some intel on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 3, Episode 5. So I am doing a video really fast, not in my usual format, to get my thoughts. There was a story about Jen Shah going to see Heather Gay in BravoCon, and Heather invited her, and Heather ditched her, I guess, when she got to BravoCon because Heather wanted to go to all these parties, allegedly, and Jen Shah wasn't invited because she'd already been kind of dismissed by Andy. So Heather Gay, I guess when Jen got there, kind of wanted to hang out with Jen and include her, but at the same time wanted to be like going to all these really fun things, and Jen wasn't invited. So she kind of ditched Jen. And then Jen tried to go to her room and stay with her, but Heather like pretended she wasn't there, and then Jen couldn't get in the room. Anyway, she ended up going to Taylor's room from Real Housewives of Orange County and hanging out with her. And it's just so crazy. So I'm going to read you a little bit of this story, but not the whole thing now. Okay, so here's this thing that I was sent, right? And it's a story from one of Jen Shah's friends of what happened with her and Heather and Tamra and Taylor Armstrong over BravoCon. Anyway, I'm going to just read you the synopsis that I did on this because the whole thing is in the Patreon if you want to go read it. But I'm going to just share with you my synopsis of my highlights. So here's how I summarized it for the Patreons. They have the whole images. A 3-screenshot blog by Jen's friend who accompanied her to BravoCon 2022. The red is tough to read, so stick to the white, and I suggest reading it on a computer screen. 3 images attached. Here's the synopsis of the 3 screenshots. Heather invited Jen Shah to come party with her at BravoCon 2022. Then when she actually showed up, she ditched her. Jen then was invited to a room of housewives, and that's when she hung out with Tamra. Later, Jen and Heather separated because Heather wants to go to parties that Jen is not invited to, but doesn't want to say it. Jen then can't get into Heather's room and has no room, so has no choice but to hang out with Taylor Armstrong. Taylor was too drunk and saying awful things. Later, Heather thought Jen's friend stole her designer sunglasses, who is writing the story. But he denies stealing these designer sunglasses from Heather. He says, look, I accidentally picked them up when I was grabbing Jen's stuff out of Heather's room, because I guess eventually over the weekend they get into Heather's room and they hang out there for a while. And so he's packing all Jen's stuff up and accidentally takes Heather's sunglasses, but she thinks that Jen's guy stole them. And I'm like, doesn't this sound like season 2 at Meredith's store with the other guy that she hangs out with? Like, why does Jen's guys always take something thinking it's Jen? It's really strange. Anyway, so that's what happens. So the moral of the story for this friend of Jen is that he doesn't believe that any of the women are her friend or had her back. And he kind of felt like Tamra came for her and Taylor was just drunk saying awful stuff. And like, why was she doing that? He was like kind of grossed out by Taylor Armstrong. And he said that Jen Shah like really did nothing. And he felt so bad for her because here are all these women pretending to be her friends and she thinks they are. And then they're not. And they all turned on her and said she was trying to crash BravoCon and all this stuff. And he was like, it was just crazy. Anyway, that's the way housewives are. They're cute and cuddly until they're not. Ah! Okay. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I really enjoyed Angie Harrington on this week's episode. She was hilarious with the Playboy, way she puts the martini down. And I really love the fashion she brings to the show. And I love that she says, let's spill the tea. And Heather and her like making jokes about, you know, spilling tea. Heather was a Patreon member, so she does know all the tea on everybody. So anyway, shh, don't tell anyone. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to tell you is that Angie was invited on Heather's ski day, and that caused a huge uproar because Lisa Barlow felt that Heather betrayed her by inviting Angie, because it was rumored that Angie started the rumor by Whitney. This is what Whitney said, that Angie started the rumor that Lisa Barlow was sucking someone off for Jazz tickets, the basketball team. And so supposedly Angie said this to Heather and Whitney at New Year's Eve. But what's really apparent here is that Heather and Lisa don't like each other, and Angie and Lisa used to like each other and don't like each other. And Angie didn't say this about Lisa. She doesn't talk like that. So I know that lie didn't come from her. Who I think that lie came from, for what it's worth, is Whitney, because I think Whitney always wanted to call that out, which is so funny that she ends up being her friend on the season, because I think she was the one who always intended to have that rumor go on the show, right? So Heather and Angie, I don't think ever intended to tell that rumor on the show, and they may have talked off camera about it, but they definitely didn't, you know. So that's it. So it's all going on wit. Okay, so then we find out that Heather's written a book called The Bad Mormon, and she's worried about the backlash. She tells Angie this. There's going to be a lot of stuff about that book soon in the show. I don't want to ruin it, though. Brooks is back from school, and he's visiting with Mom, Meredith. Brooks says that Seth Hare reminds him of Lisa Rinna. Just kidding, that's not in there, but I thought I'd throw it in. And they talk about whether or not Brooks has met somebody that, you know, he wants to date or get serious about at NYU. He's in his senior year. His mom mentions that there's going to be some sort of charity event that Angie is going to host for mental illness. Meredith admits now on the show that her relative, you know, had mental illness. I believe actually that he almost committed suicide, and that's what went down with that. Just as a sidebar, that might give you some insight into a future episode, but I think she was careful not to say that much detail on the show. So, but anyway, it made Meredith very sensitive, as I've said in other videos, to Jen Shah's plight, because Jen Shah was dealing behind the cameras with some mental health issues with dealing with the trial and everything. And I think Meredith worried about Jen's mental health because of her nephew. And I think we're going to hear more about Jen's mental health on future episodes. Okay, so just to get you ready for that. But this explains why Meredith became friends with Jen and maintained the friendship after they had that huge falling out in season 2. And you know, somehow they came back, it seems, from that. And Meredith is so loyal to her, and she really is loyal to her in real life. So that's wild. Okay, we see Jen Shah having couple therapy with Coach Shah. Coach Shah seems always so enlightened. From what I hear from the girls on the ground, he's very nice. But still, hard to believe he didn't know what his wife was up to for as long as she was doing this stuff, which was like 10 years. But I suppose anything's possible. Anyway, they do this stare in your eye game. Jen can't stop laughing. They're going through couples therapy. Rumor is, as I mentioned in my previous video, that they're not fully together anymore. I don't know how true it is, but that's the rumor. Anyway, she goes on and on, Jen, about how she's innocent. And I loved what Coach Shah said, that he was present, that he had to be so present for her. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed him saying that. Then Lisa does this weird scene where she's like, laugh crying. And I'm so confused in it. I'm like, are you laughing or are you crying? I mean, you guys have to watch it. She's like, and I'm just so confused. This is so funny. Anyway, she is laugh crying over the fact that I guess her marriage is in a little bit of trouble because of the rumor that came out, and that, her 4 sisters are going through a divorce or have been divorced. Anyway, the whole thing didn't really make a lot of sense, but the laugh crying was the best part. Lisa. Whitney decides to resign from the LDS church, and instead she's going to go to her spiritual healer. And so we watch that unfold with her notary. But we do learn some cool information about the LDS church, which is they make you pay 10% of your salary, which I didn't know. And they also, she believes, don't want to let you leave the religion because they want your money. And she also makes it clear that the men are in control, because she admitted that she cheated on her ex-husband, and she admitted it to the church, and the church was supposed to excommunicate her, but didn't, because her husband said that, he didn't want her to be excommunicated from the church. And so they left her in the church, which is very strange, because her husband, when he was with Whitney and cheated on his wife, he got excommunicated. And so, because the women don't have any say. So, Justin's wife couldn't say, I don't want him to be excommunicated. So Heather invites all of the girls trying out for the TV show to ski day. And that's what that really was. It was to see if any of the tryouts would really bring drama. So Angie had been on season 2. She had already been incorporated in the drama. She went. And of course, she ends up getting casted as a friend of. And Angie Katsanevis goes, and she doesn't really shine on this episode, but she'll come in later, you'll see. And Angie gets casted as a friend of. She ends up hating Jen Shaw and then joining forces with her. That's a little bit of a spoiler, sorry. And then Dana, she's not really from where all the women are from in Salt Lake City. She's from like sort of a lower, how do I want to say lower, but like she would be like, she lives like an hour away. Let's just say that. Anyway, Dana's a real scandalous one, and she's going to start stepping up left and right. She's supposed to be the replacement for Jen Shaw, but like not totally. Anyway, a lot of the girls like Dana. So that's it. Okay. Dana has the most support from the existing cast. Katsanevis the least. And Angie, she's in her own league. She's really housewives material, but she'll only go so far. So she's in the good friend zone, the safe friend zone, where she can still bring drama, but have some things be sacred. We'll see how long that lasts. Anyway, let's see. I'm not going to lie. I'm an Angie fan. So we see a lot of really quick resolution at Heather's ski day. We watch the women ski. We see their different skill levels. And what ends up happening is that Lisa Barlow doesn't want to fight or make up with Angie Harrington. She just basically goes, you were my friend of 20 years. You talk shit about my husband. And on that basis, I don't want to know you anymore or talk with you. But what I really think she was trying to do is not shoot with her or give her any drama to get her on the show. I think she was trying to block her from coming on the show. That's between you and me, but that's what I think happened. I think Lisa Barlow at all costs does not want Angie Harrington to be a cast member. Too late. And then I think what happened was that Heather and Whitney get together, and Whitney tries to force Heather to agree that Angie told the lie about Lisa Barlow. I guess it's a lie that Lisa Barlow sucked some guy off for jazz tickets. And Heather's like, I'm sorry, Whitney, I'm not going to lie. So Heather keeps her ground because it is a lie. Angie didn't say that. So Whitney is perpetuating a lie, and Heather's like, I don't want any part of this. So Whitney realizes she's now on her own. Now, she's already bonded with Lisa, which I mentioned none of the cast members knew or expected, and is shooting with her and all this stuff. So Heather's just like, okay, we're all on our own raft now. Anyway, if you watch Heather's face in the last scene, it's hilarious because she literally looks at her like, are you for real right now? It's like dead face. Like she's going, let's agree to disagree. And she starts talking about how she feels abused by Heather and, you know, all this stuff. And Heather's just like this, like, you know, it's just that ridiculous. It's what's happening. Which, you know, they cut the rest of it out. Okay, so there's that. I thought you would enjoy those little tidbits. What else can I tell you? That's it. I got to go to bed, you guys. I know this isn't my usual level of awesome, but I got an eye thing tomorrow. Let's just hope my eye surgery goes well tomorrow. Happy Halloween.